Hey guys, so I'm basically going to start making videos about tips and tricks and anything you need to know about the modeling industry, the acting industry, commercial. There's a whole bunch of different types, but if you want to get into this industry, I'm going to start making tips here on just to help you guys out. A lot of people contact me on Instagram. I'm going to leave my Instagram right here just so you guys know, but I get so many messages about wanting to know how I do what I do and this and that, and I'm just gonna put it all in video so I can just send it to people. Anyways, I've been taking forever to make these videos because I don't know, it's just been scary. I don't know why I have like this sort of like scarcity against with YouTube. Yeah, but here we go. I wanted to start off with basically the introduction of a little bit about me and how I got into industry, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of tips on each step of the way. So basically, I've been modeling since I was about 8 years old, and I've been modeling my whole entire life, since I was like 8 till now. And I never really did it as a job. I did it more as a hobby, and it was something I really liked. But when I was around 22, I moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia in the United States. I was living in Argentina before then, and I started modeling more. A lot of the culture in the industry in Virginia is very creative. There's a lot of creative people there, and I've got into contact on Instagram with a whole bunch of photographers that live there, and I said, hey, do you want to shoot this and that? And we started doing collaborations where people would just shoot for free. And then I got in contact with people who were doing events where, for example, 20 photographers would go and 20 models would go, and they would shoot, and by the end of the event you had so many photos to be able to make a portfolio with. So that was fun, but then time passed and I realized that in Virginia it was really hard to make it a career. It was something that was just mainly a hobby. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Where can I go to make this my full-time career? Because I started getting a little bit of like panic attacks. I was a full-time gymnastics coach, and it was the love of my life. I coached for 10 years, but it was a little bit rough when it came to when I started thinking about what I want to do for the rest of my life. I was like, I don't think I want to be coaching when I'm older. So I was like, okay, let's just do what I love. And what do I love right now? Because I've loved gymnastics my whole life, and I still love gymnastics, but what do I want to do right now is modeling. At that time it was only modeling. So I was like, okay, where can I go? So the closest thing to me was New York, but I was like, I want to move to Florida. Florida always seemed like my happy place. I grew up in Florida when I was younger, when I was a kid. So going to Florida was just a good idea for me. And I got an agency meeting in New York, and I was like, okay, let me just go to New York for this agency meeting, and then I'm gonna move to Florida, which I already had changed my address and everything to Florida. So I was ready and set to go to Florida. But I went to this meeting and I got signed by the agency. So then it was hard because I was like, I don't know what to do. So basically what I ended up doing was I changed everything. I just moved to New York. I went to New York, and then I just stayed there. I never left. So I started looking. I didn't want to go back into gymnastics, so I started looking for like working at coffee shops or bars or this and that, or nightclubs, and I just wanted to work with anything so I could focus on my modeling career. And the first year, honestly, it was really hard because, I mean, obviously New York is not an easy place to start off with. And now if you asked me, I would do everything completely different. I wouldn't do it the way I did in that moment, but I was young. I was like 23. Well, not 23, maybe I was like 24 at that time. I was like 24, and I am like that where I change things very quickly, but yeah. So I did that for a year, and it didn't go well. I honestly, like, I was signed by modeling agencies, but at the time I didn't really know how the system worked. I now know how it works, and I wish I would have done that different in the moment, because I wish I would have worked in New York if I knew what I was supposed to do. Which is basically, I'm gonna later explain it at the end, but there's this program where it's called Casting Networks, where it's like a membership that you're supposed to pay. But when I went to New York, and it was the first time getting signed by an agency, and they said you have to pay this much money per month or a yearly fee, and then for the website to be signed to the agency, I thought it was like a scam. And I was like, they were like, you have the option to not do it, but you're probably not gonna get any castings if you don't. And I didn't do it, and I obviously didn't get any castings. So the first year it didn't work, and then the second year COVID hit, so I was obviously not working. I did little projects here and there, but nothing big enough for me to say I can live off of this. So after that, in quarantine and COVID, I ended up deciding I have to do a job or something that will give me free time so I can dedicate my life to my modeling career. And I was like, what can I do that gives me more time so I don't have to depend on a full-time job? And I was like, because at that time I wasn't working. It's like, I really like photography. I was like, I think I'd be good at photography. So actually the camera I'm filming on right now is my first camera that my ex-boyfriend had bought for me at that time. It was like a gift. And then I ended up buying myself a bigger camera. I bought a Canon, and I think it was a Canon D90, if I'm not mistaken. And with that, that's what I started practicing on my boyfriend at the time. I started practicing on my friends, this and that. And I got a little bit of practice, and I opened up an Instagram, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna model. Then around the COVID ended, and I decided to move to Florida. My partner at the time, we split up, and I was like, okay, I wanna go back to Florida. Florida is like the place I always wanted to go back to, and I never could, so I'm gonna go to Florida. So I ended up moving to Florida. I started with gymnastics, but then I did photography and modeling on the side. And that was really complicated because then I had like 3 jobs, basically. And what I ended up doing was like, I just took a leap of faith. And I decided, I got signed by an agency in Miami, and I decided this is what I wanna do. I wanna be a model. This is what I wanna go for, and I can't keep coaching gymnastics, because if I keep coaching gymnastics on the side or this and that, I'm never gonna dedicate myself 100%. And that actually was something somebody said to me one day. They were like, it was like the best advice they could have gave me. If you're not gonna dedicate 100% to what you wanna do, it's not gonna work out, because basically it's like a battery of 100%. And if you're giving 50 to this and 50 to that, you're not giving your full potential. So basically that's what I did. I quit. I did photography for some time. I actually did pictures of really, really like famous people in the Latin music industry, and which is really cool actually. You can still find that Instagram if you look for it, but it's called Cocos. I've never deleted that Instagram, but I have still a few photos of some famous people there that I took pictures of. But I ended up quitting taking pictures and gymnastics, and I dedicated myself 100% to modeling. And this agency I got signed to was I'm still with them. It's been 2 years. Is a very commercial agency. So when I started working with them, I've never done commercials. I've always done print or a little, social media stuff or this and that. And they started submitting me to some big stuff. And that's when I started getting to my career. I ended up paying the Casting Network's membership, and that's how I started getting a lot of castings. So that really changed my life. I think if it wasn't for that big jump I did once I moved to Miami and I changed, because I always hear this, if you don't make a change, things don't change, basically. You have to make the big jump. You have to, if you see that things aren't moving, things aren't working out, you have to change the way you're doing things. I know that sounds pretty corny, and a lot of people say that, but it is very true. As soon as I started changing things, my life literally turned around like 180. So that's basically it. Right now, I am a full-time commercial actress and model. I do print, I do social media. I also do influencer work with brands. I do collaborations, content creation. But I'm just so excited because I get so many messages from girls. I get some from guys, but mainly girls asking me how to get into the industry. And honestly, I don't know about any other countries, how they work. I'm from Argentina, but I don't know how it works in Argentina because I've lived here. My career started here, so I can explain and tell you everything you can do in the United States. So if you're from the United States, I can 100% give you some advice. So let's start off with, in this first episode, of different types of modeling. When I started modeling, everybody was like, oh, you can't do that. You're not gonna be able to do that full time. You're too short. This is not, by the way, I'm like 5'2", 5'3". I don't know exactly how tall I am, but I'm around that height. I would say I'm 5'3", but I'm not exactly sure. And what most people don't know is that there's a lot of type of modeling. There is runway, which is like the most typical. Every time somebody says you want to be a full-time model, everybody's like, oh, you're too short for runway. And it's like, no. There's modeling, there's hand modeling, which is called parts modeling, when you model parts of your body. So hand modeling, foot modeling, leg modeling, hair modeling, just lipstick, your lips. Then you can model beauty, which is makeup, skincare. Then you can be an athlete or anything that's sports. You can do plus size, you can do commercial, you can do, there's so many different types of modeling that honestly, anybody could be a model. If you have the talent of being and you're comfortable in front of a camera, anybody can be a model. So don't tell me, y'all, if you look pretty. No, I mean, for me, everybody's beautiful in their own way, but that's something you have to believe. You can't just come up to somebody and say, well, that's what they used to say to me. You can't be a full-time model. There's no way. There's no way you can do that. That's funny. Anyway, so that's the thing. Another thing is that there's different, I'm gonna get into in different episodes, explain how the payments are and how it works. It is not fun in the sense, it's really confusing until you get it. And there's a lot of things like, for example, like you don't get paid right away. You don't do a job and you get paid that same day, but I'm gonna leave that for a different episode. In your modeling career, your modeling process, when you're starting out, I think the best thing that you can do is find what works for you. So for example, and this goes a lot in your looks, how you dress, what you do. I used to have long hair, right? It was around like up to here, and it was my natural hair. And it's fine, I used to get jobs like that. And then I put extensions down to my waist. I had a lot of hair extensions. It was so pretty. Man, I got some jobs there. One day I woke up and I was like, you know what? I want to make a big change because I feel like I look like a lot of the other girls. There's a lot of competition. And I was like, what can I do and what would look cute? Like, I want to change my look. And I'd already been blonde for 10 years. So, and during the quarantine, I went back to my natural hair color. And I was like, okay, I already did that. So I don't want to go back to blonde. And I don't want to go red. I'll cut my hair off. So I chopped my hair off. I like cut it all off. I have not stopped working since I did that. And why is that? First of all, I set myself apart from the rest. And second, the haircut looks good on me. Like, it's good for my face shape, for how short I am, it just works with me, with my body. Then I started learning how to dress for what works for my body. And then, you know, you just build yourself. And I feel like that's a big part. That's what I love about this career, that it really, really makes you mold yourself into your best version, because I have to be at my best all the time. So although it's sometimes stressful, it is like, it pushes you to be great. So anyways, this video isn't gonna be super long. This is gonna be my first video, so I'm a little bit nervous. I hope you guys like it. But basically, I'm gonna end off this video explaining a little bit about how these memberships work so you can get started in this career. So obviously, to be able to be in this career, you need headshots and you need portfolio work. Now, I know this is super expensive and not everybody can afford this, but there are people that don't do it too expensive. And even you can have photos that are done for yourself. Like today, iPhones take amazing photos. To start off, your first few photos, you could do them on your phone. I'm not saying that's what you should do, but if you can't afford a photographer, I would start off with your phone. And there are two different types of pictures you need for your portfolio. So basically, you need digitals, you need photos that are like Polaroids. Basically is where you're wearing clothes that's pretty fitted so the client can see, or the agency can see your shape, the shape of your body. Little to no makeup. Usually you don't wear mascara, you just wear some concealer and like a little bit of base of makeup if you have some acne or any of that. And then it's usually against a white wall or a gray wall or a plain background. So those are necessary. Then the fitted clothes is always, you usually wear jeans and a black t-shirt, black tank top, or black pants, black tank top. I'll show you some examples. And then the other type of pictures are portfolio work, which are usually based on what type of model you want to be. So usually fitness models have more fitness work. I'm a commercial model, so I have various types because there's all types of commercials. So I have fitness portfolio, I have like photos, I have more high fashion, I have beauty, I have all different types. And then I have the actual videos of commercials I've done. So after that, you put all that together, you submit to an agency. Let's say you don't get signed by an agency, right? What's necessary for you to have is a Casting Networks portfolio. You go on castingnetworks.com and you make a portfolio. There is a membership that you can pay. I think it's $25 a month. I don't want to lie to you because I don't remember. I have it on automatic, so I don't remember how much it costs. Or you can pay, it's cheaper to do the yearly. I just don't know how much that is, but it's probably like almost $200 or something like that for the year. Anyways, you do this and you can self-submit. So let's say you don't have an agency. You're starting off without an agency and you need some work to have some experience. You can start self-submitting on this, where for the next episode, I'm gonna show you guys the examples of how it works and how you see it. But basically, make one of those, and if you don't want to pay, it's not gonna work. This is what happened to me. As soon as I started paying for that, that's where you have access to more things. So if you pay the membership, you can put more photos, more videos, you have access to, you can submit to as many castings as you want. So in my opinion, please don't do what I did. Pay for it. If you're serious about this, pay for it, okay? And self-submit. Once you have that, and meanwhile you're looking for an agency, you can say, hey, I already have a Casting Networks profile. Like Casting Networks, there's another one that has projects that are a little more low budget. It's called Backstage. And if you want to start with that one's fine too. I think it's $180 a year, and that one's a yearly. I don't think they have a monthly plan. And same thing, it's same thing as Casting Networks. They both have an app for your phone. The Casting Networks app doesn't work as well, but the Backstage one does work well on your phone, and they're more low budget projects. So if you're just starting for the first time, you've never modeled and you want to start for the first time, I would start with Backstage. Then there's Actors Access, but we'll get into that later in a different episode because that's more for actors. So basically that's step one. If you want to get into this industry, and I'm not talking about runway models because I don't really do runway, but if you're commercial print and you have that look, or you want to get into the industry, those are the first steps I would take. And the biggest thing of all is don't let anybody tell you you cannot do it. That's the biggest mistake, because it took me forever, because I didn't believe everybody, but it was just, it made me feel so horrible because I was like, man, maybe they're right. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I can't be a full-time model. Until I kept seeing other people on billboards and I was like, I look just like that girl. Or I can do that, that's easy. So then I started doing it, and look at me now. So yeah, I hope that helps. My name again is Nanette Orellana. I don't really like when people, but I mean, I guess subscribe, I don't know. I'm doing this in English. I speak Spanish too, but I just feel like if I'm doing it for the United States, I should do it in English. But anyway, this is fun. I'm glad I did this first episode. Proud of myself. Anyways, I'll see you next time, and mwah, thank you.